Just 2 years ago, there was a thriving international GT series where Ferrari F40s, McLaren F1s, Lotus Esprits and even my own Lister Storm all stood a chance of winning. But first, they were knocked sideways with the arrival of Porsche's new 911 GT1, and then they were crushed into submission by this Mercedes CLK. There have been two versions of the racing CLK, the original 6-litre V12 and then this 6-litre V8. They took the 1997 FIA Championship and then this year won all 10 races, dominating to such an extent that no one else is keen to compete against them anymore. But while a car so good it looks to have killed off a popular series may be bad news for race fans, it's good news for a few very, very rich car nuts. Because in order to go racing, Mercedes had to produce a road-going version of the CLK. And they've now built 25 of these fully street-legal, mouth-watering machines on sale for a price tag of a cool £1 million. Plus VAT. So if you buy this Mercedes in Britain, it's going to cost you £1,175,000, which, let's be honest, is getting a tad ridiculous. But then you do get a superb pedigree limited edition machine with a 6.9-litre V12 right behind you, producing 612 horsepower. And that'll launch you from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, from 0 to 125 in under 10 seconds, with a top speed of 200 miles an hour. So you do get an awful lot for your money. But perhaps the best thing about this CLK is that it's got a genuine racing paddle gear change with a full racing transmission. In fact, if you can match your revs as well as Michael Schumacher, you can change up and down without even using the clutch. But Mercedes don't recommend it unless you want a gearbox rebuild every 500 miles. And here it's just up on the right, and then down on the left. Simple as that. Both the racing and road-going versions have been designed and constructed for Mercedes by performance specialist AMG, a private company that has been tuning Mercs for over 30 years and which is now being gradually taken over by the Stuttgart conglomerate. If this CLK is to be judged as a true road-going supercar, it must take on the superb McLaren F1, which has set the standards with its brilliant packaging and attention to detail. So how does the Mercedes compare when you head towards town to do the shopping? Well, it's certainly not as comfortable as the McLaren. The racing cockpit is very confined, the driving position very upright. But there is plenty of nice leather, there's air conditioning, but it's all a bit claustrophobic. And that beautiful mechanical noise of the V12 is sadly drowned out by the whine from the racing transmission. But then you can't have the paddles without the transmission whine. It also feels a lot bigger. So as you point £1 million towards the crowded town centre, the nerves begin to jangle. The practicality problems begin as soon as you start to get out. If you're looking for luggage space, there's none in the back because it's filled with the engine and the biggest catalytic converters you've ever seen. While in the front, there's the radiator, the air conditioning and the inboard suspension. Which means that when you've done your shopping, the only place to put it is in two little pannier boxes, one each side. No room for my golf clubs there. and then you've got to get back in again. Oh. So, as a practical road car, this Clk fails the test. But if you can afford £1 million car, you'll be able to afford to rent yourself a racetrack. And then the fun really begins. This Clk has been bred for one thing only, and that's to win motor racing. It doesn't like going shopping, it doesn't like crowded towns, but it loves racetracks. And this paddle gear change just comes alive. The handling is set for mild understeer with power oversteer available on tap. There's traction control to help you out if you wish, and the steering provides all the feedback you could ever want. And with a 6-speed box, 6,000 revs, over 600 horsepower, nearly 600 pounds-foot of torque, you can play all day long and never get bored. $1 million. And just to maintain the impression, you want to drive home in a car that befits the splendour of the occasion. Now, if you actually have $1 million to spare, you might just choose a McLaren F1. At a price of £540,000 plus tax, you should also get some change for your million, and you'll get more than